What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Dynasty Nation with our Week 1 recap and look ahead to Week 2. And I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Kev. What's going on?
What's going on, Jim? Man, back in the thick of it, man. The previews, the recap. Oh, it's been too long, man. Oh.
Yeah, an interesting Week 1. I got a feeling some teams might be changing their plans for preseason football after the way a lot of these teams started.
Man.
But it was a little rough for some of these teams out here.
Yeah, man. A lot of the team, I will say, from last episode, the two teams I expect to be in the Super Bowl. Tough Week 1. Rather tough scene, but maybe we'll get to that a little later.
All right, let's go on to our news. What do you got for us?
All right. So for this week or this past week, we have some notable injuries, Jim. First and foremost, Dak Prescott. He injured his throwing hand. So he actually had surgery on his throwing thumb. So the Cowboys don't think it's too serious. They opted not to put him on IR. So they're hoping he can be back within 4 weeks. That might be wishful thinking, but hey, it's his thumb, but on his throwing hand. So we want to make sure that's ready to go, for that grip. So
yeah. I think Jerry Jones is really pushing it here for Dak. Original reports came out saying 6 to 8 weeks were expected, and right after the surgery, Jones is like, nope, we're not putting him on IR. We're going for week 4 or 4 weeks from now, I should say. So week 5.
Yeah,
it's going to be tough, I think.
Jerry Jones, I mean, he was pretty open about it not too long ago. It's like he low-key regrets the contract in terms of the exact dollar sign that Dak got. So in his mind, he's like, man, you're gonna play. You're gonna play. But moving on, keeping it within the quarterbacks, Mac Jones. So he actually was experiencing some back spasms. So we'll keep a close eye on that. It's not considered too serious, but he's expected to play. But so something to keep in mind.
Yeah, that offense really wasn't clicking too much. So not too helpful to have your quarterback having this lingering now.
Absolutely not. And then another, probably I would say the most major injury that happened, unfortunately, was Elijah Mitchell on the 49ers. So he sprained his MCL. So the ligament was still intact, but not a good scene for Elijah Mitchell. The 49ers did place him on IR, and reports have been coming out 8 weeks, Jim. So that's tough.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, a lot of people, they kept saying in the before the season started, this is something you got to look out for with Elijah Mitchell, is him being able to stay on the field. And sure enough, week 1 it happened. So,
yep, I was never very high on him, Jim. But I mean, I like the story, and I don't know, man, whether it's because of injury or just the Niners find another guy to go with the hot hand. There's always someone new every year. Elijah Mitchell was last year. I did not see him being the guy 2 years in a row. But with this injury, it's not going to happen again, obviously, at this point.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with those backs. Jeff Wilson, I think, is expected to kind of take the load, but they still have TDP. Mm-hmm. The undrafted free agent, I can't think of Mason, I think.
Jordan Mason, yeah.
Yep. And then they just signed Marlon Mack today to the practice squad, too. So
we'll
another
see.
guy to put into that rotation.
Exactly.
And then they got Debo, though, so that they use out of the backfield. So it's still a murky situation to try to figure out.
Yeah. I agree, man.
All right, before we get to our week 1 recap, let's go into a trade that we had before week 1 started. So it did affect some of the lineups of these games. We had Gunnar Grogan getting Damian Pierce from Bateman and Robin, who got Treylon Burks for a 23 and 24 second-round picks along with Treylon.
Yeah, Jim, I got to say, the second this trade happened, I was just not a happy camper in terms of, looking for both sides. I feel like every trade, you should have no clear winner. You know what I mean? It should be a mutual beneficial move for more often than not. Sometimes things can happen here and there. To me, Jim, I just think this was a classic example of like just falling head over heels over the hype. Damian Pierce, I mean, his stock was trending way up.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, but this is where I go, Jim. At the end of the day, Treylon Burks was drafted, I think, 5th or 6th overall in our rookie draft.
Yep.
And then Damian Pierce went the beginning of the 2nd.
Yeah, he's picked
So
13 overall.
yeah, so the way I look at this, Jason basically had like 3 top 5 picks in this last draft, and I mean, I still believe Treylon Burks is going to have a better NFL career than Dameon Pierce. Like, and not for nothing, like Dameon Pierce, like you're on the Texans, and I mean, I don't know. I never was like anything. I never thought he was all that coming out. I mean, obviously he's had a good camp, solid preseason, and then they held him out. So it was like, oh, he's a starter for sure. And I mean, as we've seen from week one, I don't know. So I don't know. Jason, good move on him. Grogan, I wish you got more.
Yeah, Dameon Pierce definitely was being hyped up. Grogan kind of bit into that, like you said. I did actually like Dameon Pierce coming out, mostly because a lot of the talk around him was he should be one of these running backs that would have 3-down ability because he could catch the football and he's trusted with blocking.
Yeah.
So it did catch my interest a little bit. But like I said, we give it up Treylon Burks, who went so high, at points was considered the number 1 wide receiver for some people.
Yeah.
You got to throw in 2 seconds. That's a little over the top, but
it's a little over the top.
Good for Jason to sell on the peak of the hype before we get to regular season football.
Yeah. I will just say this quickly on Pierce. Like when he went to Houston, like even though the Texans are bad, like I did like the landing spot just for the reason that like he should be expected to get the volume, which obviously in fantasy that's king. But in terms of the talent, it is what it is. I mean, he could surprise me and whatever, but in terms of the opportunity, for sure it's there. But at the end of the day, your upside is going to be capped. And yeah, like we said, I just think Grogan gave up too much.
All right, so let's get into our week 1 review here. Let's go to our first game, which was Run CMC beating Evil Empire 151.12 to 116.62.
Yeah, Jim. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, I expect a little bit more against the Browns. Close game all around. Panthers stink. But I mean, hey, first game back, I'm not actually worried about McCaffrey, but hey, 4 targets, 4 receptions, and he did score a touchdown. Obviously Cooper Kupp did his thing. That's no surprise. Jerry Jeudy, nice. Even though the Broncos were stinking it up, it was nice to see him find the end zone. Kelsey, yeah, man. I mean, dude, your team is starting off the way just as it should. Yeah, man. What else can I say? I mean, TJ obviously losing Elijah Mitchell, that's tough. Cam Akers,
oh yeah, dud.
Oh my God. I don't know what to think about that. Richie's calling out Henderson as the bell cow. So he might be onto something. I don't know. Damn.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp, 31.8 points on 13 catches is kind of the headline for my team. 128 yards and a touchdown. Kelsey still Kelsey. Burrow, though, a little bit concerning.
Yeah, oh my God.
It's crazy he somehow finished as QB8.
Yeah.
He had 4 interceptions and a fumble lost.
Yeah, that was an ugly. I mean, that game was crazy how it ended, but I mean, the Bengals were being dominated all day long, and then wow, just overtime. It's crazy.
And then to touch on Jeudy, like you said, his first touchdown since week 17 of 2020.
Oh wow, damn! I had no idea. Oh my gosh.
On TJ's side, I had Derrick Henry being held to 82 yards, no touchdowns by the Giants. Pretty disappointing to not get into the end zone, you would expect.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I am biased, but that game gave me so much life. I don't expect anything lofty for the New York Football Giants, but I will just say this. I can already say right away, after just 1 week, I had Derrick Henry as a potential fantasy MVP. I don't know. I don't know about that. He looked old and slow. And Dontrell Hilliard, hello. How you doing? Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, Evil Empire had Elijah Mitchell on his team go out. And then the rookie watch for TJ, though. Drake London, his first-round pick. Decent game, 12.4 points on 5 catches for 74 yards. So not bad for his first game.
Rookie of the year, Jim.
Next, let's go to our next game. Chrome Future, most points this week, putting up 208.78 against Rags to Riches, who only puts up 81.4.
Yeah, Jim, I said it in our last episode. This was going to be an absolute blowout, and sure enough, exactly what happened. Andrew outscored Richie and Grogan put together. So yeah, that's it's quite crazy. So now we've had three scores in our league's history to go over 200 points, and for Andrew to do it week one, quite the statement. If you ask me.
Oh, yeah. Justin Jefferson, 39.4 points, number one player in fantasy so far.
Mhm.
9 catches for 184 and 2 touchdowns is just absurd.
Just went off. Yeah.
Saquon, he's back. Saquon's back.
He never left, Jim.
33.4 points, 164 yards with a touchdown, and 6 catches, 30 yards.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It just was like the offense as a whole. Like, I mean, and Daniel Jones is mid. Don't get me wrong, but like there was more like urgency. The play design was like so much more creative. Just all the things I was hoping to see. Exactly what we got. And I mean, Saquon Barkley. And I know this was a big reason why Andrew wanted to go after him. There's not many running backs that get the workload of, like a Saquon Barkley type, even if the situation's bad and the talent is there. And as Andrew likes to say, go with the talent. And he did. And week one, he certainly reaped the benefits. And I think Saquon is just he might be a league winner, honestly.
I think a bigger story too for Chrome Future here that was kind of overshadowed by all these guys. Antonio Gibson had a pretty good game and was heavily involved in the passing game.
Yeah. I will say as an OG Gibson guy, it was a nice thing to see. I will just say as a little pessimism, I don't expect this role to be throughout the entire season. We'll see what happens when Brian Robinson returns. And I don't know, maybe I'm totally wrong on this, but I don't know. I don't think McKissick is just going to be an absolute scrub. I think he'll be somewhat of a factor. Gibson's obviously over him and is going to be more valuable, of course, for this season. But we might have had a really nice week one. I got to see a little bit more before I'm ready to say, okay, he's set like at RB2. But Gibson's shown he'd be top 12, but so we'll see. We'll see when Robinson comes back for sure.
On the rags to riches side, Aaron Rodgers completely shut down. No wide receiver help. Is that something you're concerned about going forward here?
I mean, I think you should be, but at the same time, it is Aaron Rodgers, and I mean, they got shellacked week one last year against the Saints. So I mean, but when you don't have Devontae Adams, I mean, yeah, like who's the guy there? Like, I mean, our boy Alan Lazard didn't play, Jim. So maybe that's his
didn't
excuse.
even play.
That's his excuse. I don't know, man. It's definitely tough. The Vikings are the real deal, man. Like they were my pick to win that division. So I'm obviously on a nice start for that. But I'm not going to count out Aaron Rodgers. But I will just say I think it's going to be a long season for rags to riches.
Christian Watson on that play. I don't know if you saw the deep throw from Rodgers right through the hands.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude. Like
wide open.
That's the thing.
Like, more open.
That's, but that's the thing about week one, man. Like I don't want to overreact, even though we did have some stinkers on some teams and some players we expected a lot more out of. But yeah, man, I don't want to overreact, but yeah, the Packers certainly it's gonna be tough for them for sure. Ugh.
Rich's best player looks like so far, Joe Mixon, 21.5 points. Even got involved too in the past game with 7 catches.
I said he was going to finish top 5 this year. I'm not stepping away from that. I mean, the Bengals are a top offense, and Mixon is that dude in that backfield. So he's proven to be the talent, has already proven that he can be top 5. I saw no reason why that wouldn't continue with the improvements they made to the offensive line, and just overall as an offense, they got better, in my opinion. So, I mean,
last for rags to riches, he had Darrell Henderson put up 12.3 points. I know we talked about him a little bit before, but
yeah, bell cow.
Can he be a lead back in LA and potentially be RB2 flex worthy in fantasy?
Yeah, can he do it for sure? But it's tough. It's tough to say without a doubt. I know that I read a report that McVay wants to implement something similar to the way Shanahan implements his running backs. So we'll see if it's just the Henderson show, but I have a really hard time believing that Akers will be an absolute non-factor this season. But I could be wrong. Maybe Akers, Achilles, man. But then I look at James Robinson, but we'll get into that.
So just to go back on our picture last week, we forgot to mention, but that puts us both at 2-0 so far through this week.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's move on to our third matchup. I'm all in, beating Gunnar Garogan 108.48 to 69.44, putting us both at 3-0. We had Michael Pittman for I'm all in, put up 27.1 points, 9 catches on 13 targets, 121 yards, and a touchdown.
Balled out. Yeah. He's a great player. Great player. Nothing more I could say. I know what you're thinking in your head. It's all right. Yeah. Great week one for Michael Pittman. Well done.
I think a little bit concerning for Alexi, though. He's got Mike Williams and Allen Robinson only combined for 5.2 points in week one.
So Mike Williams, as we've discussed in previous episodes, obviously I traded him to Alexi. And this was part of the reason. Just is unacceptable, especially for a team where you want to win. You can't really afford games like this when you don't know when the big week is going to come. You expect a divisional matchup against the Raiders, high scoring game. Mike Williams should be in on that action, and he simply wasn't. So it's really tough scene. Hopefully, but the thing is, I told Alexi this already. I think week 2 he could put up like 32 points. It's just annoying. I don't like dealing with that. Alexi, best of luck the rest of the way with Mike Williams, but Jim Allen Robinson, man.
It gives me real vibes of the way Robert Woods started last year. Like he was almost ignored. He was on the field for 97% of the snaps and only got thrown to twice.
Yeah, but Robert Woods wasn't this inefficient when he started. He it
was a tough start.
It was. But Allen Robinson was like a complete non-factor, and I mean, it's just like, you just really hate to see that. I had very high expectations for Allen Robinson kind of out of the gate. Clearly that did not happen. And, now questions start to get asked. I mean, again, coming off the bad year, week 1 stinks. I mean, I certainly hope this won't be a trend because I like Allen Robinson a lot. But if this is, Alexi could plummet down these rankings quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the end of that game, but it was almost like his second target was like a pity.
I did.
Jump ball at the end of the game. Like, oh yeah, we forgot we have Allen Robinson. Let's try to throw it to him. Yeah,
I had a parlay that 3 of the 4 legs hit, and the last one was Allen Robinson touchdown. And that was his second target. You're right, you called it. And 4th down and no catch. So
last point I want to make for I'm all in before we get to the Grogan side was maybe an overreaction, but it's week 1. Is QB still a problem for Alexi? Brady only puts up 10.3, Carr on his bench 13.8, and Trey Lance only 9.96.
I just think the Tampa Bay Dallas game was ugly. Like Tampa Bay knew they had it in the bag, and they were like, Leonard Fournette looked good. Just the running game as a whole. I mean, they kind of did whatever they wanted. So coming off a season after Brady led the league in pass attempts, I definitely did not see that happening 2 years in a row. I'm not worried about Alexi's quarterback situation at all.
All right, let's move over to Grogan's side. Only put up 69.4 points. Tannehill puts up 19.34, and I was actually impressed. Grogan, he's kind of got the roulette wheel of quarterbacks with him, Goff, and Baker, and he got it right. Tannehill was the best one of the 3.
There you go. I mean, that's my QB2 in Superflex, Jim. There you go. Love to see that.
But yeah, huge letdowns from Devontae Parker, Devonta Smith this week.
Oh, yeah. Especially with Smith, when you saw how much A.J. Brown was dominating, and Devontae Smith, not even a single reception, 4 targets, could not come down with a single one. And I mean, hey, Jalen Hurts, I've been on record. I think he's not the guy for Philly. But I mean, when A.J. Brown is producing like that, you'd hope the second star or second guy will do something,
especially in a game when they put out 38 points, right?
It was a good game between them and the Lions. It was a good game,
a lot of offense.
You hate to see that. So
the one thing to kind of get you a little bit excited for Grogan, Tyler Higbee, 11 targets. I mean, seemed to be a focal point. Didn't take advantage of it though, but the fact that he was thrown to 11 times, pretty good.
I'm gonna personally, Jim. I'm a bit of a hater on Higbee. I never thought he was good. I'm gonna chalk this up to the Bills taking away everything the Rams wanted to do. and Higbee was just open and closer to the line of scrimmage. But maybe I'm a hater and Higbee has a career year. But
Who
yeah,
knows?
good,
He had
good
several
game.
drops though, but
Yeah, so
see if they keeps getting involved.
Yeah.
Next, let's go to Taylor Swift's McLaurin F1 versus Bateman and Robin. Taylor Swift's McLaurin gets the win 158.46 to 126.02. Kevin, you 1-0, and we're 4-0 on our picks.
Feels good, Jim. Feels good. I will say, yes, Jason, I was a sad boy at around 3 o'clock on Sunday.
3 o'clock Sunday, the panic was just setting in.
It was just like, I don't know, just to see the Steelers, what they were, because I was watching that game primarily with my friends, Steelers, Bengals, and literally it just felt like every other play, the Bengals were turning it over, getting sacked. I'm like, this cannot be happening. And now I look in the chat, I'm getting chirped left and right. And I'm like, man, like when your defense puts up like 30 points, like, there's really not much you could do, but thankfully, right on schedule, my stars came to play. DeAndre Swift, I will say, should have had even a better day. He had huge chunk plays. And then, unfortunately, the Lions, they like to preserve him, which I do agree with long term, but gets a big play, take him out for a breather, put in Jamal Williams, plunges it in for a touchdown, 1st and goal. Like, come on. Like, these are more touchdown opportunities that Swift should have. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but in the end, didn't matter. So
yeah, let's talk about your running backs. The big three-headed monster of Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams combined for 73.8 points this week.
Oh yeah.
And two, Javonte could have been RB2 if he didn't have that fumble and that was a touchdown, and you would have had RB2, 3, and 4 this week.
That would have been crazy. I mean, I will be honest. For all of my roommates that were watching it with me can attest. Not just because I love Javonte and obviously in our fantasy league, but I also had him involved in another bet to just anytime touchdown scorer. And man, especially after Melvin Gordon fumbled, I'm like, all right, Javonte, your chance. And I literally was saying, this is gonna be a touchdown. I will bet money right now. Right now is a touchdown. And then to see him fumble the way he did, I was screaming. Oh, I was devastated. But in the end, Jim, it didn't matter for fantasy. 12 targets. You love to see that. Love to see that.
Yeah. And then you also get Justin Herbert just continuing with another top 5 quarterback performance.
Just all I need, just do his thing. Give me 20 plus points week in and week out. Man, I mean, and just a well-oiled machine over here. So, but a quick shout out because you didn't mention him yet. But Tyreek Hill, a nice pleasant addition. I know Bob was very, very down on him, but disrespectful, I might add. But the man's Tyreek Hill. All right. He's going to be a wide receiver 1 this year. And I didn't have that on my team last year. Very, very happy for my team moving forward.
Let's go to the Bateman and Robin side. Kareem Hunt, pretty big day, 23 points and 2 touchdowns, 1 by air, 1 by land.
Oh, yeah. He's, one of the best receiving backs in the league. And I mean, had a great week 1. I mean, the talent is never a question. Just obviously playing with Nick Chubb, who's, I mean, as a pure rusher, like I consider him not as an overall running back because he has very little passing upside, but pure rusher, top 5. So when you got that on as your teammate, upside will always be limited naturally. But yeah, man, Kareem Hunt, have a day. So yeah, good for Jason.
Yeah, he's also had, like you touched on, Steelers defense, 27 points this week. A little bit concerning going forward to lose TJ Watt, though.
Yeah, I was going to say that. We're not sure, I don't think, yet on the timeline, but torn
Last
pec.
I saw was, I think, 6 weeks because they're avoiding surgery.
Yeah, man, it's just TJ Watt is built different, but avoiding the surgery. But I mean, I just hope he doesn't end up like his brother, man. JJ Watt, he didn't want surgeries, and yeah, I just was never the same after a while. And I mean, TJ Watt, I mean, because don't get me wrong, no disrespect, JJ Watt was literally one of the best in his prime, one of the best defensive players I've ever watched. I genuinely was beginning to believe TJ Watt could have been better, but
he was
now
pushing for it.
These injuries, man, they keep coming. And heck, oh my God, I really hope it works out for him, avoiding surgery. Hats off to him. But it's scary. I hope for Jason's sake, TJ Watt needs to come back and be good.
The last point I want to make for Bateman and Robin, disappointing week from CD Lamb. I know he lost Dak towards the end of the game, but 2 catches on 11 targets, only 29 yards.
Yeah,
Gotta be disappointed.
It's to me, honestly, it doesn't make sense because Jim, he had 11 targets. Like, you know, it's not like, again, I know towards the end it was just balls that were just sailing over his head. Like, but
even Dak had some of them that weren't even like close.
Yeah. The Cowboys as a whole, I just mid this year. They were expected to still be, high flying offense, and they still could be, but obviously now with Dak being gone for a little bit, that won't happen right away. But yeah, I don't know, man. CD has been regarded as one of the top dynasty receiver assets for a while now, and the stats just haven't shown it. So I think at a certain point, Jim, we got to ask ourselves, why does he still have this hype?
I still think he's a really good wide receiver.
Yeah.
It's just, is he the great that you expect that people are putting him up to?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I think he's like a really good wide receiver too.
Yeah. Again, it's still week 1. It was only week 1. I don't want to say anything crazy, but I think I totally agree. I don't see him as the guy for an offense, but an excellent complementary piece, which for fantasy could still be fantastic. And obviously he's very, very talented, but just disappointing.
Let's go to our next game. We have Fossil Fuel beating the Saturn Man 125.8 to 119.76. Pretty close game here. Mahomes, though, 34.9 points and 5 touchdowns for Fossil Fuel.
Yeah, I will say hats off to Bob. I said this last week. I didn't think this game would be close, and it was one of the closest games we had. So it's definitely interesting to see, Mahomes to have the day he did and Justin Olney to have 125.8. So duds from Alvin Kamara, Amari Cooper, Darnell Mooney, big disappointment. And even, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon had himself a day, and Aaron Jones, not so much. So we'll see how that backfield looks looking forward.
Aaron Jones and Kamara only combining for 18.2. We were concerned about the depth of his running backs, but if these two are his starters and they can't put up points, that's even worse, man.
Yeah. Yep.
As far as the Mooney 1.8, I think that has more to do, with the weather. I think that was just a mismanagement of not getting him out of your lineup in that huge rain game.
Yeah.
But
we'll
true. See. We'll see if he can pick it up in some fairer weather here coming up.
Yeah.
But for the Satterman side, man, we had some guys I know we weren't really too high on really pick up this year in week 1. CEH, 22.4 points, 2 touchdowns. James Robinson, 19.9 points, also 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
we were a little bit concerned. At least I was. I'm not sure. I don't remember if you were. Michael Thomas, first game back, 22.7 points for 2 touchdowns.
Very pleasant surprise from Michael Thomas. I actually was maybe not week 1, but I think he's going to have a solid year. I was actually higher on Thielen, but yeah, man, Michael Thomas, have yourself a day. If he can be like this all year, I'm not, who knows, man. It was just the touchdowns really, but hey, the Saints, if they can keep it rolling, that's going to look good. And yeah, man, it's definitely going to be interesting with Bob moving forward. Honestly, who knows what will happen with his team the rest of the year.
Yeah, the Saturn Man, he does lose Dak Prescott in this week. Also already out Zach Wilson. So the only quarterback left on his roster is Carson Wentz. So we'll see how he's able to go ahead with that situation at quarterback.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to our week 1 matchup of the week review. We had Chubby Stafford, who you picked, versus Chicky Parmesan, who I picked. And Chubby Stafford pulls it out 132.2 to 109.3. Devontae Adams just went off for Chubby Stafford, 30.1 points, 10 catches on 17 targets, 141 yards and a touchdown.
Man, I got to be honest. Obviously, Devontae Adams, one of the best receivers in the league. I did not expect week one, new team, just balled out the way he did. Like, oh my God, dominated is not the word. Like, wow. Dominated anymore, he would have been Justin Jefferson last week. So, I mean, absolutely insane. It didn't even matter that Austin Eckler didn't really show up. Didn't matter that Stafford struggled mightily against the Bills. Devontae just led the way.
Yeah, man. Just we expected the Raiders to kind of spread the ball a little bit more, the way we talked all offseason, with Renfro and Waller kind of maybe having a little less coverage on him. But man, Carr was just hyper focused on him. 17 targets.
Yeah, I will say this though. I do not expect that to be the norm. Obviously, Devontae Adams is going to be an absolute mega stud this year again. But yeah, that was a little out of control. I think it was kind of just to play with their new toy, Jim. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what it was. And I mean, they didn't win. So maybe you gotta change up the strategy now. So
Keeping it on Chubby Stafford's side, AJ Dillon, big game, 20.1 points in a disappointing game for Green Bay overall. He shined.
yeah, I mean, he had their only touchdown. And for Justin as an Aaron Jones owner, a little tough to see. AJ Dillon certainly could be that guy, as I know Bob has been saying, but I originally was saying. Thank you very much. Yeah, man, another great asset for Mr. DeVito, and certainly could just take over that backfield before we know it.
They had some late week one scratches for DeVito. Kittle goes hurt, Lazard
Mhm.
hurt, but
Yep.
he fills the roles with Julio Jones and Pat Fryermuth, who combined for 24.1 points in relief.
Pretty solid, man. Pretty solid. I will say, when I saw that uh what's his name? Lazard was out. I'll be honest, even though we're not high on him, I was like, all right, well, he's got to throw to somebody. I was like, Lazard's probably gonna have a solid week one. When I saw Lazard go out, I was like, oh man, I think Carmine's actually gonna win, and my pick will be wrong. But in the end, obviously, Julio did his thing. I mean, nothing crazy, but enough to give him the W. So yeah, man, it was we'll see with DeVito for the whole season. Again, we both agree not a playoff team this year. We'll see. We'll see.
Moving over to the Chicky Parmesan side, I think it's kind of more of the same for his team this year.
Yeah.
A wide receiver is still the strength of his team. You had AJ Brown for 25.5, Hollywood Brown 14.3, Brandon Cooks 15.2, and even had some guys on his bench at wide receiver do really good with Dotson and Kirk.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, you nailed it. I mean, just his receivers just basically at the very least met their projection and just did their thing and were very reliable pieces. But
the letdown continues at running back though.
Yeah. Oh man.
He's got Josh Jacobs only put up 8.3, Travis Etienne 8.5, Rashad Penny 8.7, and then he leaves the newly acquired Miles Sanders to his team this offseason on his bench, who puts up 18.5.
Yeah, thankfully it wouldn't have mattered for Carmine if he started him or not, but still, I mean, I will say though, Travis Etienne definitely expected more. I think honestly, because I have Etienne in another league, I will say I think we might want to implement a wait and see approach for the next couple games to really see. I mean, I know he got pretty unlucky. He could have had more points. He had a touchdown that was overthrown, I believe, from Lawrence.
One overthrown. I think he had another one he could have had too that I think he just dropped.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yep. So the opportunities were there. And the Jaguars should be better offensively. And I mean, if Trevor Lawrence can continue to take the next step, we hope. But yeah, man, a definitely tough scene, especially like we said with James Robinson. He had himself a day. So hopefully Etienne can get on the right track for Carmine.
Yeah, so week one, I was 5-1, and Mr. Rograz, congratulations, undefeated through week one in our picks.
Let's go. Send we have we're building something here, we're undefeated. We'll keep it rolling here.
All right, before we get to our week two projections, we did have another trade right as week one ended Monday night, and it was a big one.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
The sadder man gets running back Najee Harris, running back Tony Pollard, wide receiver Devonta Smith, and a first round pick in 2024. In exchange, Gunnar Grogan gets Clyde Edwards-Helaire, James Robinson, Robbie Anderson, and a second round pick in 2024. What do you think, Kev?
Yeah. This trade, again, before I even say anything, I'm not complaining like, oh, like I should have gotten this player. Like, oh, like, no. I'm really disappointed in Rob because he doesn't understand the value of his players. And that couldn't be more clear after this trade. So let's dissect it a little bit. So we'll start on what Bob got. Najee Harris. So he re-aggravated his Liz Frank. He may miss next week's game. He might not. And if he doesn't miss, maybe he'll be limited. Who cares? This is Dynasty. You get
gotta look at the long term.
And he's still only in his second year. Like, he was our rookie of the year in our fantasy league. Okay. So Najee Harris, I'd say a top 5 Dynasty running back, top 10 at the very least, top set. Like, he's a higher end Dynasty asset for running back in a very needed position. Okay. So there's that. Devontae Smith. Yes, he did absolutely nothing. Totally understandable. Frustrating. Not a single catch. He showcased the talent. It's not a matter of like, oh, he's just not good. Rob has this tendency to just give up on guys very quickly, spur of the moment, very impulsive. And man, Bobby ate it, was there for the taking, hyped up his guys to Grogan, and every single player he gave away, what'd they do, Jim? Have a great week 1.
Yeah, probably some of these guys the best week they'll have all season. And if we're keeping it real.
Yeah, especially when we're talking about Robbie Anderson. So yeah, maybe I was wrong on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Maybe this ends up being a nice bounce back year for him. Totally in the cards. James Robinson, yeah, he capitalized on touchdowns for sure. Could definitely be a solid fantasy play this year, no doubt. But at the end of the day, Rob also gave up a first round pick.
Yeah.
And
overdone.
And I personally believe Najee Harris by himself could have gotten James Robinson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I was going to say, on the light side, you should be able to get Najee for CH and James Robinson. On the light side, you probably could have got more.
Yeah.
But if we're going to keep it, try to look at it both ways slightly. And that leaves you with Devonta Smith, Tony Pollard at a first for Robbie Anderson at a second.
Yeah. Yeah. If Rob's going to fork over that first, why get Pollard? Get Dobbins. Make Bobby sweat. And he didn't think to do that.
Yeah, a little.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire and James Robinson. He could have had. But yeah, forget Robbie Anderson. Yeah, James Robinson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Dobbins. Fork it over. And maybe it wouldn't have happened, but and I know Rob made a comment saying like, oh, well, to make a trade in this league, you gotta like sell your soul. It's like, then don't trade. Then don't, like, why? Like, it's just really frustrating for a team that I'm high on next year for Bob's team. He's got a very good situation for the upcoming draft. 5 first round picks in the first round.
To not give up any of those.
Yeah. Rob didn't even think to get any of those. Like, that would have, then that would have been fair. It would have been a little even. Najee Harris by himself, even Grogan said to me how he valued him 223 first. He specifically said 2023 specifically. So if that's the case,
I had another GM in the league who I know was involved in the negotiations tell me that he was looking for 3 firsts for Najee. Like, that was the offer that this owner had to beat.
Yeah. So, I mean,
it's crazy. Like you said, let's look at the outlook for all these teams.
Right.
For the Satterman, Najee Harris, Devonta Smith, great for the long term.
Great for the long term.
And Bob's clearly going for the long term, I think, at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Running backs are a little murky for him in the now part.
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins being injured.
Yep.
So it leaves him with Harrison Pollard, who we didn't like as a combo on Rob's team, so I'm not going to like him as a combo on Bob's team either.
Yep.
But Devonta Smith, I think, is going to actually upgrade Bob's flex, who he had Goddard kind of sticking in there. I know he had a bad week, like you said, in Devonta Smith, but it's just another piece, another young piece. Well, Bob has older wide receivers too, and Michael Thomas and Adam Thielen. This is just another guy to have to fill one of those guys in the future.
I'm just thinking about like how next season could go for Bob, like a fully healthy Najee, a fully healthy J.K. Dobbins. If he's, obviously I expect Dobbins to maybe not be a workhorse, but
no way. Certainly
the number one running back for that offense. And we've already seen what he can do when he has that opportunity. So with those two, and then figure he still has Deontay Johnson, maybe Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen get moved, but he's got all those first round picks. I certainly expect him to replace them with some rookies. And then, now you throw in Tony Pollard in the mix. Okay. He could be something maybe. Still has Dalton Schultz. Like he's going to have a good team. So Bobby, huge win for him. Did not give up a single first round pick. Gave up guys that had great week ones. Yes, two of them are young, which is good, obviously. But I mean, it's not even in the same ballpark as a Najee Harris. It's not even in the same. Oh man! But hey, Rob's happy with it. So
look at
we move on.
Grogan. I mean, maybe he gets running backs to help him a little bit more now than what he had with CH and James Robinson, but it's hard to replace Najee Harris, man.
Just good luck, Rob. Good luck, Rob.
All right, so let's move on now to week number 2. And let's get into our week 2 projections. First up, Kev, let's go to Run CMC versus Rags to Riches.
I think Richie's gonna win. Jimmy, it's a foregone conclusion that you will wax that ass, and Richie's gonna go a nice 0-2. So big win for you.
I do feel good about my team for sure. But I think Roger's gonna bounce back against Chicago. He owns Chicago.
Yep.
So that'll bring Richie back a little bit, I think. A lot of his guys had down weeks, so let's see if any of them can bounce back. But I still feel really comfortable about a week.
It won't
for myself.
It won't matter. 15 plus point differential.
Next, let's go to Chrome Future versus the Evil Empire.
Yeah, man. TJ just can't catch a break. With Mitchell out now, I mean, and Cam Akers coming off of a absolute goose egg. Obviously Derrick Henry, and he was coming off a bad week against the Giants. I don't know. I don't really know what to think of his team now. But that being said, he's going against the team that just led the league in scoring, a top 3. I think it was top 2 actually. Top 2 scoring output in our league's history.
Just fell short of you. He was 3.
Oh, he was? Oh, he was 3?
It was like by 0.04 or something like that.
Love to see that. Awesome. Sorry, Andrew. But still, regardless, the third time ever we've had over 200 points scored. So, Andrew by a landslide.
Yeah, I'm still rolling with Chrome Future, but I expect to see some lineup changes from Evil Empire this week. I was kind of surprised last week to see Gabe Davis on the bench. I thought he would find a way to get him in.
Yeah, right. That we didn't even get to touch on that before. That is very shocking.
And then I expect Chase Edmonds probably to get into it for him, with Mitchell out, and maybe a little risky to play Cam Akers after the dud of a week.
Yeah.
Kind of like you said with Travis Etienne, kind of a wait and see at this point.
Yep. Totally agreed.
Next, let's go to Chubby Stafford versus Gunnar Grogan.
DeVito starts off 2-0. It's like I said in our previous episode, I really just think it's much different this year. Not so nip and tuck. Like, who the good teams are, who the bad teams are. There's gonna be an upset at some point. I don't see it happening this week either, Jim. DeVito gonna get this one.
Yeah, a little interesting for DeVito, see if Lazard and Kittle come back. He's got Keenan Allen dealing with a hamstring too now. So that could be a little wrench coming into this short week. So might not play. So he's got to go to a couple other wide receivers here. But I'm still going to roll with him here. I know Rob's got CEH and James Robinson to maybe upgrade his current running backs, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But I'm still not feeling too good about Rob's team.
No.
Next, let's get to your matchup. Taylor Swift's McLaurin F1 versus Fossil Fuel.
I definitely expect Justin to show up for this matchup. The rest of his team, that is. Obviously, Mahomes being absolutely lights out. That being said, it's going to be a close one, man. I definitely think this is going to be a really close game. It could go either way. I expect a bounce back from Mooney prime time against Green Bay. Cooper against the Jets. Jalen Waddle, he's coming off a week where he scored. I could see him finding the end zone again or just having another productive day. Evans against the Saints. I think Evans is going to be struggling. But I expect a bounce back from Jones, Kamara. I mean, granted, Kamara is going against Tampa Bay. But all that being said, close game. I pull out the W.
Yeah, I think this will be, out of the matchup so far, at least one of the closer ones compared to some of the other ones. I'm still rocking with your team, even though, like you said, I do expect another good game from Mahomes. I really expect Ertz to have a good game too, fully healthy. And then Mooney to bounce back too, not playing in this rain, hopefully.
Yeah, monsoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see see if there's an improved passing game in Chicago. But I'm still rolling with Taylor Swift's McLaurin F1 this week. Next, let's go to I'm All In versus Chicky Parmesan.
So Alexi did have some duds. I expect bounce backs. I'm not saying Alexi's going to put up a dominant performance. I do expect him to get it done over Carmine this week. And I think Michael Pittman is just going to keep this momentum going. And you might have been right on the money about him. Again, I'm never a hater on Pittman, but he could very well be a wide receiver one this year.
I too am going to rock with Alexi, and I'm all in. I think Allen Robinson bounces back this week. I think they'll make it a point to get him involved more than they did in week one.
Mm-hmm.
I also expect more from Mark Andrews. Surprisingly, only held to like 10 points against the Jets last week.
Yeah.
You kind of expect him to dominate. There's not really a great wide receiver. He should be their number one target.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see if he can get it going here in week 2 against the Miami Dolphins. On Carmine's side, though, we'll see if he can get the running back situation figured out. Maybe get Miles Sanders in that lineup. Maybe Josh Jacobs or some of these other guys show up.
Yeah.
So this will be another close matchup, I think, though, for this week. But I'm sticking with I'm all in.
Also, I just want to say really quick, I didn't say before, Mike Williams, Thursday night matchup with no Keenan Allen.
True.
I expect him to drop over 25 points.
Ooh, that's a good prediction. I like that.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially Keenan Allen. And
because coming off the hamstring, quick turnaround. Keenan Allen not expected to play, so I think Mike Williams is going to go off.
Kansas City just lost their number one cornerback too, McDuffie.
Oh, first round pick, right?
Yeah.
All right, there you go. So yeah, I mean, there you go. I think Mike Williams, Mr. Boomer bust himself. So coming off a bust,
with the boom week,
going with a big boom week for Mr. Alexi. I'm all in.
All right, so for our last matchup, our matchup of the week this week, it's going to be between two teams originally projected to finish either bottom 2 or bottom 3, depending who you ask out of the two of us. We got Bateman and Robin versus the Sadder Man.
Yeah, Jim. Jason's coming off of a top 5 points for week. So, I mean, yeah, he definitely was making me sweat, like I said. And, he has some pieces. We lose Dak, so we expect CeeDee Lamb to still struggle fantasy-wise. And Bob's team, you can argue, maybe got a little bit worse for the short term. with no more Clyde and no more Robinson. And if Najee plays, who knows what his volume is going to look like if, his injury is as serious as some people were making it out to be. If he's Najee Harris, it's going to be, much closer. But regardless, I still think this is going to be a good game. This is a tough one, man. I'm rolling with Jason. He made me sweat. I think Jason wants some redemption here. I know he had a big dud from Irv Smith. I expect him to have a much better game week 2.
All right, so I'm gonna actually keep the trend of not having the same pick in the matchups of the week here. I'm gonna roll with the sadder man. I know it's a little bit different, difficult here. He's got Carson Wentz playing quarterback against Lamar Jackson for Jason. Good week from Carson Wentz. He's got to throw the ball, I think. So he's got some chance to put up some points here. Najee's, an elite running back. I think that trumps having Breece Hall and Kareem Hunt for Jason. It's just a matter of who's going to be that second running back for Bob. Will J.K. Dobbins be back, or we go into a Tony Pollard, Dontrell Hilliard situation, maybe one playing in one of those spots. And then I just like the wide receivers for Bob's team better for the win now, Deontay Johnson, Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen, and now Devonta Smith in the flex. I would expect Devonta Smith to not have a dud this week.
Yeah.
Minnesota's offense is humming. Michael Thomas looks good. Deontay Johnson had a sick catch on the sideline.
He did. That was awesome.
So getting him going, you got Dallas Goedert coming in there too, or possibly Dalton Schultz, but I'm thinking he's going to lean Goddard with no Dak.
I'd say, yeah.
So I feel like this is going to be Bob's first win of the season. I'm going to stick with my season projections of Bob being better than Jason this year. And I'm picking a week 2 win for the sadder man.
I like it.
All right. Another week in the books.
Woo. Now we got to wait for waivers. Tomorrow morning, we'll find out who gets some of these players still on waivers.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see some of these teams and some of these guys where they're going to go. Rich, I know, has about 3 open roster spots from, either guys retiring or just dropping guys that weren't available. Andy claims that he's got five transactions lined up.
It's a little wild, but hey, we'll see
if that's a bluff or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's going to be a lot of movement, I think, for week 1. See where Jeff Wilson goes. I think he's going to go to Rich. It's going to be my projection if we're going to pick somebody.
Interesting. Okay. I'm not even gonna list any projections on where I think guys are going for waivers, but next episode we'll be able to report on if any of those guys had some big boom weeks. So.
All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. Please like the episode, go subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. And thank you guys for hanging out with us. Peace.
See you guys next time.